if you've heard through other attorneys, through other videos, avoid probate at all costs, you're going to have to say, what are they talking about? At all costs? You mean you don't want to spend $5,000 to $10,000 for a probate to protect $1 million? That makes no sense. If you ever hear somebody say you absolutely must avoid probate, how? You do it through a revocable living trust. You should have a revocable living trust. You've got to ask more questions. So a revocable living trust, the whole idea with it is so that you don't have to go through a probate. So if you're not going through a probate, you have a revocable living trust. That's your setup. So with a revocable living trust, the whole idea is so that you can avoid a probate. All right, you live in Washington. You're that same couple that I just described. You know, one has Alzheimer's, one seems to be healthy. What happens when the one who has a heart attack dies? Well, guess what? All the assets belong to the surviving spouse. And so what if in their revocable living trust, they set up a marital trust or some other kind of trust to hold the deceased spouse's share? Maybe they even tried to set it up as an asset protection trust. State of Washington will not honor that as an asset protection supplemental needs trust. That surviving spouse who now has $1 million and has Alzheimer's and needs care, all of that money is theirs. The state says zero, none of it is protected. All of it is going to have to be spent down before that person is eligible. So rather than protecting the entirety of this couple's estate by using a will-based estate planning platform, they were told avoid probate. So they followed that guidance and they set up a revocable living trust. Rather than protecting $1 million, they protected zero. It all needs to be spent down on long-term care costs. So when somebody tells you that you must avoid probate, you must have a revocable living trust, I would suggest that you ask questions. Well, why is that? Well, because you want to avoid probate. Okay, well, what are you trying to accomplish with your estate plan? You see, estate planning isn't about documents or you must have this or you must have that. It's about having an understanding of what your goals are. What are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to protect assets against long-term care costs for your spouse? If so, I would likely recommend the will with the asset protection trust. On the other hand, if you have long-term care insurance or you have millions of dollars of assets, and let's say you have property in Oregon, Idaho, California, and Washington, I likely would recommend a revocable living trust route is the best way for you to go. And rather than focusing on, the long-term care cost issue, we're then focusing on avoiding estate tax in Oregon and in Washington. Washington, our estate tax is at $2.193 million. You can use a revocable living trust, or you can use a will platform to protect against unnecessary estate taxes imposed by any of the states that have an estate tax. Idaho does not. So protecting against estate taxes might be the goal of your estate plan. And it might be that you have property in multiple states. So a revocable living trust is the smart way to go. You don't want a probate in California. You don't want a probate in all of those jurisdictions. So yes, a revocable living trust is the right way to go. I can't answer the question, what is the right way for you in terms of what your estate plan is, but what I can tell you is that a good estate planning and elder law attorney is going to sit down with you, find out what your situation is, what your goals are, what are the threats to your estate plan. Is it long-term care costs, or is it paying unnecessary estate taxes? So all of those things are important to talk to your attorney about, the estate planning and the elder law attorney. If you have any concerns about long-term care costs, I would recommend that you are working not just with an estate planning lawyer, but with one that has elder law and Medicaid expertise. because that is a really focused area of practice that many people who do estate planning and do it very well wouldn't understand why certain provisions need to be included in a durable power of attorney, or why the will should be set up in a particular way, or why a revocable living trust should be avoided. Many estate planning practitioners in the state of Washington would not know what I just told you, which is that a revocable living trust will not protect assets for a surviving spouse against long-term care costs. So these are, they're worthy of having a discussion with your attorney.